my name is May from Good Story Chinese Translation. Today I'm going to do a talk on why I use machine translation and show you some of the key functions in one of the machine translation software that I used. That is MemoQ, that will help you to save time. And then you can make up your mind whether you want to purchase a machine translation software. And I'll also give you some price informations of the key softwares in the market. So to start, why do I use machine translation? I started to use machine translation software about 10 years ago. At the beginning, I started with Wordfast, which is a very easy to learn and intuitive software, and it's also very streamlined. I fell in love with it at the very start, and later on, when I went on to do my master's degree in translation in Monash University, I purchased the student version of Trados, and as the price is a lot cheaper if you have the student membership, and Trados is one of the main MT softwares that many agencies are using. And more recently, about 5 years ago, my colleague Sam Berner has recommended to me MemoQ. She said that it has all the bells and whistles of MT software that a translator would need, and it's very easy to use. And she is a very senior member of OSIG, and who has been champion the use of machine translation to improve translators' efficiency. She is a very valuable colleague as well as member of OSIT, our professional association. And so for me, personally, I feel that the rate for translation has not kept up with inflation over the last 10 years. I've been practicing as a translator in Melbourne. When I started with the agencies such as On-Call, All Graduates, and WITS, the rate was about $16 per 100 words, and for general text, and about $18 per 100 words for specialized text. And today, those rates haven't moved at all. And I understand that translation is a market that is open to translators to in other countries as well, who use that use the foreign language. In my case, it's Mandarin and Cantonese, and therefore the obvious way to improve income is to improve my efficiency. And since I've been using MT softwares, I found that my daily translation output has increased from 1,500, 2,000 to about 3,000, 4,000 words a day. So it has nearly doubled. And apart from speed, the other benefit that I have found is that I spend a lot of my time doing interpreting, and 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 then obviously, with children, and there's a lot of work time I have to spend outside of work. And therefore, I do not therefore, especially living in Melbourne, away from my home country China, um, I have found that I have not been constantly immersing myself in my mother tongue, Mandarin and Cantonese. And therefore, for me, when it comes to translation, which require a more formal form of language, sometimes I found that my translation output is a little bit colloquial, probably because it has been influenced by my interpreting, as I have spent a lot of my time, or more of my time, interpreting rather than translation. And so I have found that using machine translation and Google Translation has helped me to get my vocabularies up to date, and has, as well as to help me to translate into the Chinese that is of a higher register than I will otherwise be able to produce. And and I think my situation probably is applicable for many of our practitioners who are living overseas from their mother country, and also if they interpret a lot rather than translate. Um, and and the third reason for me to use machine translation is that I'm not a very patient person by nature. I would like to say, give me patience, but please give me quick. um, so I'm not a very fast typist, and I do not enjoy fiddling with the dimension of the tables and trying to squeeze the text into the cells, or squeeze the last line into that page, in order for the Chinese version to correspond to the English source text. And therefore, using machine translation has actually helped liberated me from a typist and a graphic designer to a text editor. And I personally has have you may find a graphic design redoing or rejigging some of the tables and photos very stimulating. And for me, I find text editing more stimulating, so that I can focus on the conversion of the meaning of the text, rather than deformatting. And lastly, machine translation has helped me to avoid repetitive stress injury from constant banging my fingers onto my keyboard, because I'm someone who is a strenuous or hard finger typer. I tend to hit my keyboards quite fast. Maybe just because I'm sort of that type of um, more energetic personality, and therefore not having to type um, all the time, and not having to sit in front of my desk for a long time, has saved my wrists as well as my back. So I think from a occupational health point of view, it has helped me to maintain a good health as a office worker, if I can call myself that. Of course, yogurt has helped a lot too. And so that's all the sharing of my personal reasons to use machine translation. And now I just want to move on to something more specific on how machine translation softwares improve efficiency. So the first thing I find them attractive is they help me to segment the sentences. So instead of trying to find a particular source sentence, or and start translating and then going back to that source sentence to try to check whether I have translated correctly. Segmentation in MT softwares has been able to help me to focus my attention on the software, on the sentence itself that I'm working on. Now I'm trying to show this in MemoQ. Let me get my MemoQ out. It seems that it does not want to come out when I call on it. So let's try that again. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so sometimes when software worked beautifully, that's good, but sometimes they may not. So give me patience, give me quick. Okay, let's start MemoQ. I'm going to show you some of the key functions in MemoQ that would help you to save time and reduce typing. I'll show you segmentation first. This is a very obvious function that you will see once I open up the interface. I'm going into my demo project. And as you can see, I have imported a document with a few sentences to be translated. So as you can see that each sentence being numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so that you can focus on the translation of each sentence with the source text on the top, and then you can type the translation at the bottom, or you can arrange your interface in a left and right format, and then the last two segments are actually forming one sentence together, but because there is a colon, and therefore the software has regarded it as two segments. So you can use join or split to change their segmentation, but as you can see that it's a very clear layout. And the second feature I would like to show you in relation to efficiency is the Google translation function or plugin that you can enable in MemoQ. But of course, you will need to get an API key first, as Google Translation is now charging, the data for so, and therefore you have to set up your bank account details. But I'll have another presentation that talk about how to set up the API key, so I will not bore you with that right now. And so in terms of Google Translation, you can see that you can go to options, and then in options you can go down to machine translation, and then there are various different online translation memories that you can utilized. And as you can see that I have enabled the Google MT machine translation plugin, and what it can do for you is that if you do not have your own translation memory that you build up over time from doing a lot of translations, then you can always utilize Google Translation. The reason that I have mentioned this even before telling you the utilizing your translation memory is that in my experience, in the major language, because there's so much data, bilingual data available online, what I get from Google Translation is about 90% as good as my personal translation memory. So over time, TM has become less important for me because Chinese is one of the major language, and there's so much available data online, whether Google or through other database. So as you can see here, because I have translated this before, so the software is suggesting this translation to me. So what I need to do is simply to double click it, and then it become my translation, and then I can edit it as I see fit by typing into it. So that is, instead of typing out, these 10 characters, I can simply maybe just type 1 or 2, if I need to edit it. So this function is available through pre-translation. So if you go under preparation, pre-translate, and I can go pre-translate, okay. As you can see, the pre-translation function has found a few of the translations for me, and then for Google Translation, and then because I have enabled Google Translation, so I also have some suggestions from Google Translation. And the only thing I need to do is to move the text around the corresponding word website, and this is the website in Chinese, and that's it. And so this word is already it's very similar. It's 80%, as you can see, 85% similar to another sentence I have in my translation memory, and therefore I can just edit this part. So instead of Queensland, I have society here, and therefore I can edit my source, edit my target text area accordingly. So and then I press Control Enter, and then I have the translation already for this one. So I approve it, Control Enter, and then Control Enter. So as you can see, when you use Google Translation plugin or your own translation memory to pre-translate your article, there's very little typing you need to do, apart from moving the text tags around and doing a bit of editing if they're not 100% the same. And so it's really easy. Now I've finished my translation, and then I can just export this document. And as you can see, please don't panic if you think that I have not learned how to use this software. How why do you do this and how do you do that step? I think at this demo is just aiming at showing you the features the major machine translation softwares will have, and so that we have another presentation that I will go into more details as to how to use MemoQ to do a document translation from the beginning to the end. So this presentation is just answering the question of why use machine translation rather than how. So now we have finished translating these sentences. Then I can go to home, and then I can just do export, and then export to store path. That means you're exporting the document to the folder where you store your source file. So off I go, and the machine has told me that I have finished exporting. As you can see, so this is my Chinese output document. I would minimize, make it smaller, and then I will open up the English source document so you can compare the difference. I think it's this one. So let's put them side by side next to each other, and let's make it a bit smaller. And I'll do the same for this one, and I'll make it a bit smaller. As you can see, from the left I have my English source document, and on the right I have my Chinese translation. You can see that the Chinese has maintained all the font size and the formatting of the text, and the website is actually a link here, and you can go to the link by typing control and then the website, and then the word website, and you can see here the output has maintained that as well. So when you click that link, it will also go to the same website. So instead of having to do all this linking, insert all these links again, it saves you a lot of time already. So now you can see the photo is the same position and same size, and then and the text at the bottom is still italic. So So as you can see that, it's pretty efficient, in my opinion. And so we have covered so far, the key features in MemoQ that help you to save time. Segmentation, using Google Translation, or your own machine translation, your own translation memory, to pre-translate the text, and to export it, and the export output has to maintain the formatting in the source text. And so now I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about the pricing. Now, I just looked up the prices yesterday, so that's 21st of June 2021. Trados for studio is costing $549. If you want a second license so that you can use it at the same time on a different computer, then it will cost you $665. But if you want just to try it, you can buy their subscription, and the annual subscription is $375, and you always get the latest edition of a software if they have new softwares coming out during the year. And the second software that I mentioned before is Wordfast, which is 736 Australian dollars after conversion. And if you want to upgrade to a newer version of, obviously you have to pay extra. And the same for MemoQ. At the moment it's costing $979, and again you have to pay for upgrades. And so but in my experience, I didn't need to upgrade my software for a good 4 to 5 years. So I think the money is worth worth spending. And if you have a large project, I think you may be able to pay for it, just in one project, and then you can enjoy the benefit for the rest of its usage life, or for the rest of the year if you're buying an annual subscription. Regardless which software you choose eventually, it's always good to start with the free trial version, to have a feel of the different interface of the software, and see which one you're more comfortable with. I have tried Trados, I mentioned before, when I was studying, and I just at the time I found the interface not as agile as I like it to be, and therefore I didn't sort of use it a lot in my translation. But I think just try the free trial versions of the different software to see which one you like best, and then after that start doing some online tutorials on how to use these softwares. And those short tutorials are readily available on their websites. And once you have done a few of these tutorials, and then you can use the trial version to try translating a small project. And then that's how I started. And they also have online forums where you can ask questions, so it's okay if you get stuck. You can always get help from your colleague, either online or offline. And that's all the sharings I am going to do today. And I hope that you are not daunted by the challenge of learning a new translation software, once you have learned it, you will be so grateful that you have taken up this challenge, and now from now on you can enjoy all the benefits and the efficiencies that comes with using the software. Thank you for listening, and again, my name is Mei from Good Story Chinese Translation, and I hope that you have learned something new today, and feel free to browse through the other presentations on our website.